I'm 53 years old and my skin is healthier than it's ever been. Now, it's been a wild ride thanks to menopause and a bunch of bad stuff I did over the decades. But I've learned a lot about how to care for my skin and to give it what it needs. So in today's video, I'm having a chat with my dear friend Claudia. She is from the channel Claudia Glows. November is National Healthy Skin Month, so we thought we'd get together for a chat to share what we've learned and how we keep our skin in tip-top shape in our 50s. Now, this was a totally informal chat between two girlfriends, and here's the kicker. We have split this video into two parts. It ended up being really long. So the first half of the video is on her channel, and I will put a link to that down below as well as at the end of this video. You may want to check that out first. I hope you enjoy it.
Something else, you were talking about retinoid and how that's not working for your skin, but you do use retinoids, you said. So you use...
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm using retinaldehyde instead.
Okay.
And it's really just how my skin responds. Like, I've used tretinoin on and off for years. And then what happened the last time, most recently, is I just started getting some of the peeling stuff out of nowhere. And I don't want to wait that out. I have decided that I'd rather have happy skin than wait that out and stick to something that's irritating my skin. So I just stopped, and that's kind of what I do. And I'm not willing to put myself through it, even though I know tretinoin can be doing good long-term things. If my skin's irritated, I just stop what I'm doing. It's just not worth it. I'd rather have wrinkly skin, not that it's wrinkly in fairness for 53, but I would rather have what could be construed as the downsides of not using it, and just have happy, hydrated skin. That's what I'm going for. So I still have a retinoid. I would always have a retinoid. I just find that there are some that are, less irritating to me at certain periods.
I have looked at a ton of studies that compare retinol, retinaldehyde, and tretinoin. And while yes, tretinoin is the quickest acting, the other ones, you get similar results, just not as quickly. But you still get the results of epidermal thickening, which translates to less lines and wrinkles and all of those things. It just takes longer, and it might not be as intense. But if you can't handle tretinoin, if it causes inflammation, then again, inflammation causes aging. So then it kind of defeats the purpose.
There's no benefit to it. Yeah. And that's the thing, is that I will use the retinoids long term. It's fine. I'm in it for the long haul. I think it's a long game anyway. And so for me, swapping around to something a little less intense is perfectly fine. Like I said, my skin is actually doing better now than it's done in so long that I'm happy with the mixture at the minute. I'm sort of using a lot less products now than I have historically. Certainly I look at some of my previous skincare videos. Boy, I was throwing a lot of stuff at it,
Yeah.
Now, my routine is not small. I mean, don't let me, I'm not kidding anybody here. Certainly if anybody watches my videos, but it's a lot less, and getting a little pickier with the things that I'm using. To me, healthy skin is clear, sort of bouncy, kind of dewy skin. That's my goal, as far as that's what healthy feels like to me, where it's not tight, right? Where it's just feeling a little bit bouncy, and it's got some, it's not even about softness, although I like a bit of softness, but it's more the hydrated. What I'm looking for is hydrated skin. So what I'm using now accomplishes that more.
For me, tretinoin, so retinoic acid, is actually the other topical ingredient that I've seen a huge difference with as far as skin health. Yeah. Not just as far as, lines and wrinkles improve, which have as well, but I used to have a lot of precancerous lesions, actinic keratosis, from all the sun abuse.
Right.
And it was, I think, when we lived in Italy that they really came out. And I would go, this was in lockdown, so I would go get them burned off, and then we lock down, and then they'd come back, And finally, after a couple of months, they opened back up, and they'd burn them back off, and then we closed down again, and they came back. I said, this is not working. So I went to the pharmacy, and in Italy, you can get tretinoin over the counter. But I was really afraid of it, because in the past, I tried tretinoin and my skin was so inflamed.
Burned your face off.
It literally burned my face off. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to just try it. This is before I had a channel, so I wasn't afraid of, downtime and all of these things. And I started very slowly, though, which was very unlike me, but very smart. I started once a week with just a
Hmm.
pea size, and for 1 month, and then twice a week. And
I did the same thing.
astonishingly, no side effects. But within
Yep.
3 months, so at that point, I was only using it 3 times a week. All my actinic keratosis disappeared. And I
Wow.
probably had about 10 spots at that point. They all just went away. I never had to go back to the dermatologist. They have not returned. So
Wow.
that, again, yes, it helped with lines and wrinkles, and I can put some before and after pictures right here. But that it took away the actinic keratosis shows you how much it improved my skin
Which is
health.
way more
So,
important, frankly, than the lines and
exactly.
wrinkles.
Now, what about devices? Have you ever used a device that you actually saw a difference in your skin health?
Yes. And I bet you know what I'm going to say. Or
I
maybe you
do.
don't. I don't know. Is the one that I'm absolutely addicted to. If the house was burning, the only thing that I could take would be red light therapy. That would be it, you
You
know?
wouldn't take Gary? You'd leave him
Oh, well,
behind.
sure. He's got legs. He can run. I don't have to take him. I expect him to be grabbing the red light therapy units because I have a load of them. Yeah, for me, red light therapy has been huge. And I think
Mhm.
it's the one that I've definitely the one I've used consistently. I think I bought my first mask, which was the Omnilux in 2020. I think it might have even been before I started the channel or right about the same time. And I actually saw an improvement pretty quick. And there was sort of a brightening, a lightening of my skin that I saw straight away. But the thing that surprised me the most, and I never expected to see a positive impact from, was actually melasma. I know that there's a lot of conversation now, which I'm sure is true, that different wavelengths within the red light are said to be more challenging for people with melasma, particularly on the darker skins. That they're saying you're best to only use red light and not the near infrared. But I've used them both, and I get pretty bad melasma during the summer. I think this is the Middle Eastern thing because my brother has it. Actually, I only started noticing it more recently. He has it on his face in the summer, and it definitely flares up in the sun. So by summertime, but it completely takes care of it. Like you just use the mask on the neck or using the panel, and I find that, very quickly it recedes. So
And
there's
you
the
combine red and infrared and
Oh yeah,
still?
I mean
Yeah.
I only recently it's only the Mesama products that have the ability to turn it off. I mean all of
Mhm.
my other masks have a combined near infrared and red light. So I was like this is long before people were talking about the melasma element to it that it took care of it and it was like wait what? Where did all that dark stuff? I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know what it was. Like where's all that dark stuff gone? And realized that it actually had a huge impact. And I think it's just good for all sorts of things. And I know you're a fan. You've got big things and you got all the things.
I have all kinds of red light therapy devices, and I put it on Sam every night too. But
Ooh,
while I'm a big fan of it, I can't tell you that I've seen a huge difference like you.
no.
I don't think that I've had any. I don't have melasma. The things I have are some broken capillaries, and it's not going to work on that.
No.
So maybe if I would have taken before and after pictures, but it
Mm.
wasn't like I started using it and then went, oh my gosh, there's a huge difference. I
See, I
can
actually did. And not only was I
really.
taking before and after pictures, but I didn't even need them. Every now and then something will happen and you'll look in the mirror and you go, oh, this has had an impact. The same way that I had one device that had a negative impact. And I only needed the mirror to see it. But this was one of those that did. I didn't need to look at the photos. And this was again 4 years ago. And now it's something that I just keep up. I'm not really
Mhm,
doing the comparatives anymore. It's just something that I know works. There's a little bit of the faith in the magic, you
mhm.
know. And you're obviously using it more for the wound healing. Like there's tons of research, right?
I use it for mitochondrial health. I use it for wound healing. I use it for collagen production. I definitely believe in the science. It has over
Mm,
2,000 published papers on
yeah.
EDI. Now there are some studies saying it can help with dementia, which is insane.
Oh, I didn't know
Um,
that.
and so I know it works. I have big faith in the science. When I microneedle, for example, when I'm really
That
red, and then I
that was
use
another.
it, and yeah, it takes the red
Yeah,
down. So it shows you it's definitely anti-inflammatory. And we
100%.
know inflammation causes aging, so it is going to be beneficial.
Yeah. Are
You
there
know,
any devices that you have found to be particularly effective, like visibly?
yeah, the oral lift, not so much as
Yes.
far as skin health, but it changed the shape of my face.
It really works, doesn't it? It's
It
bizarre.
does. looking back at old videos before I was using it, my face was very square.
It was square.
Yeah, it has. So I can't tell you that it has changed skin health, and that's what we're talking about, but it changed the shape of my face. So devices
It's
that have,
amazing how effective it is, actually. It's quite shocking.
yeah,
I found
devices.
that even there was a postural change in how I stood, because they had you take the body images too.
Mhm.
And I found, like, I don't even know how this works, but somehow I was standing up straighter.
Unfortunately, I don't have that. I'm still slouching. But as far as, devices that improve my skin health, I love the zip. And I do see a glow from the zip for sure. Especially, I really got hooked on the founder's favorite after I
I
made
know
a
that.
video with,
Yeah, I
with
haven't tried it yet,
Maureen.
so I need to.
That I can definitely see a difference. Like my skin just looks healthier.
Great.
If that is actually a long-term thing, that it actually really improves skin health, or if it's a just a transient thing, that's hard to say.
Yeah.
But what I've seen the hugest difference with was an in-office device, and that's IPL.
Okay.
That's what my skin really changed. Not just the rosacea went away, but I also had a ton of sunspots because I was such a sun warrior. They look
Yeah.
like freckles, but they're like my arms. I had that on my face all over. And so back then, the guy used both lenses for red and for brown, and they all basically fell
Wow.
off. So
Okay.
that's the in-office device. I have tried at-home IPL devices, and honestly, none of them did anything. I think
They didn't give the benefits.
I
Well,
tried
it's
3 different ones, and they did nothing. No, unfortunately.
the other thing that I found made a visible difference, like when I looked in the mirror, was thanks to you, which was the medical microneedling.
Yep.
And it actually blew my mind when about 4 weeks after that first session that I did with you on
Yep.
video, I was so
Remember?
scared. About 4 weeks after that video, and it took me a while to remember why it happened. I woke up one day, literally woke up one day, and I was like, oh wow, my skin looks great. When you don't have to wear makeup or anything. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I couldn't figure out what it is. I'm like, what have I been using? And then I counted backwards. I'm like, it was the freaking microneedling. It totally works. And
I
that
can't
glow,
even believe I forgot about that. But
yeah,
because it's something I've done for 15 years, and I don't think of it as a device. I completely forgot about it. But yes, that's huge. That
I
has
was
made a
waiting
huge
for you to
difference.
say it. Like when I asked you the question, that's what I thought you were going to say.
Totally forgot.
But see,
Because
I
it's
see that
something
as a
I've done for so
device.
long.
And in fact, it's the most invasive thing that I do to my face, and I tend to do it a little less frequently, about every 8 weeks. But gosh, that glow, I mean, it's real. It is real.
Yeah. No, I can't believe I forgot it probably because I have done it for so long, and I don't think of
Yeah.
it as a device necessarily because I've tried so many different microneedling devices. So when I first started, I used a roller, and that was literally 15 years ago. And I'm talking about going deep. Back then I had the philosophies of if a little is good, more is better.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that as far as what I do at home has made a huge difference. And I can put some pictures here. My skin used to be paper thin from, again, just my genetics, sun abuse. I have a very good friend who is an esthetician, and she used to give me facials. And when she would give me extractions, my skin would just lift off. That's how thin it was. And I saw her just before we left Paris. She came to visit, and she said, Claudia, I can't believe how good your skin looks. Like 25 years later, it looks better than 25 years ago.
Great. That's great.
And microneedling is a huge part of that, because that is the thing I have done the most consistent for
Mm,
15 years.
yeah.
Tretinoin has been 5 years, sunscreen has been 10 years, but microneedling has been the longest. And yeah, that definitely has made a big difference as far as my skin health too, because it has made it thicker and more resilient, and just, yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't take away the jowls and all that stuff.
No, I haven't found anything to do that, as mine are just starting to really go south. I don't know if there's much that does, really.
I don't think so either. This.
Yeah, I'm not, yeah, I just don't think I can do it. I just don't think I can.
Going back to skin health, when we see somebody, and again, skin health sounds boring. We all want to look pretty. It's, there's nothing wrong with it. We all want to be attractive for ourselves, for others. So when we look in the mirror, or when we see somebody else, the first thing we see is not do they have jowls or how tight is their face, but their whole sort of aura, what do they look like? And part of that is a glow in the skin and healthy skin. And if they have model skin and if they have, their skin is just rough looking and all of that, they don't look healthy and they don't look useful and they don't look as attractive. Doesn't matter how tight the skin is.
Yep.
So I think those are two different things. Yeah, you can get a facelift and you can, then nothing is hanging. But if the skin isn't healthy, you're still not there. And that's where
facelift doesn't give you healthy skin. It doesn't give you good skin.
It comes back to skin health. And I think somebody with healthy skin, I have a friend here in California, she's in her 70s. She is stunning. And what makes her stunning is just, she has this glow. And I don't even look, does she have lines or wrinkles? Is there something hanging? I just look at her glow and at her eyes and just this whole, and she looks useful and she looks just so attractive because of it. If I looked closer, I'm sure there's some hanging bits and stuff, but you don't even look, because the only thing you focus on is, again, just the health of the skin, the health of her eyes, her whole demeanor, her posture, all of
her
that.
energy. It's all, it's all
exactly.
connected.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm forever chasing, as I say, is the glow, not anti-wrinkle, texture, any of that. I just want a glow. I just want nice little glowy skin. That's it. That's my goal.
Well, you mentioned menopause earlier. Do you feel that since menopause, your skin has changed, you said, but are you on HRT? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do you feel that has made an impact on your skin?
If I don't have it, it makes an impact on my skin. So I think it's been positive for my skin. I'll be totally honest. I have sidestepped menopause. The skin was not the biggest issue for me by far. So I got lucky. I was pre-menopausal at 43. That's when I started getting hot flashes, because that's how it started for me. And I went full on HRT, I think at about 48. I'm 53 now. And it really wasn't the skin that drove me to it. There were so many other things. So I think I escaped the worst of menopausal skin. I think that if I hadn't gotten on the HRT, it would have dried up completely. But all in all, I was pretty lucky. I didn't go severely acne prone, oily like so many people do. I definitely have drier skin, but for the past 10 years, I've been really taking care of my skin. So I didn't notice it as much. So the negative impacts weren't huge for me in the skin department. It was weight, it was sleep, it was hot flashes, it was irritability, it was emotional. It really wasn't skin. Luckily, it's the one thing that didn't hit me the way that the other things did. So I got off lucky. I got a get out of jail free card when it came to the skin, because I was taking such good care of my skin anyway, for the most part, except for those, those trips down the dark alleys. It was moisturized skin. So I got lucky. How about you? Did you find a huge impact from it?
It's hard to say, because really I have been, if you think about it, on HRT my whole life, because I went on the birth control pill at 16. My mother put me on it. I got off it several times during my anorexia, but I would actually I would get osteoporosis. I mean, my bones would get brittle. So they put me back on the birth control pill because I didn't have a period, because I was eating so little. So really, I was on the pill until age 38, which, gives you estrogen and everything. I would have been healthy. I wouldn't have needed it, but my body wasn't producing estrogen because I was so anorexic. And then I got off the pill and went down, downhill fast.
Really?
I mean, I had every menopausal symptom in the book, but nobody thought of it as menopause because I was 38. I was actually 37. Hair was falling out, hot flashes, couldn't sleep for 1 year. Anxiety. I mean, you name it. I didn't even look at my skin because who cared? I barely had the energy to get out of bed. And then finally got on an HRT that worked for me. I tried different ones. They didn't work for me at age 38, and I've been on that ever since. So it's hard to tell because I've been on that HRT for 17 years now. But I wonder if, I do feel that my skin is much healthier now than when I was younger. So I wonder if because now I have higher systemic estrogen than when I was younger, because I was so
Yeah,
sick. I wonder if
could
that
be.
has part to do with it, because I have that systemic estrogen level to feed my skin. I do also use topical estrogen. I don't know honestly if I need it or not. The studies looked very convincing, and I figure I'd throw everything but the kitchen sink at it.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes it's hard to know, like, how will you really know between
Exactly.
all the other things you're doing, like
Yeah.
isolate that unless you stop doing everything else.
Yeah. But it's one of the actives I use. I use vitamin C, alpha hydroxy acids,
Me too.
retinoic acid, and then the topical estrogen. So I use those four actives. So it's really hard to say, but we do know that when we hit menopause, our collagen production
Oh,
takes a deep
like,
dive.
I find it insane. It's like as soon as we aren't having babies anymore, nature is just done with us. It's like, fuck it. We'll just, you know, collagen production goes down like astronomical amounts, like 30% in the first 5 years of menopause. It's just like everything shuts down. Nature is cruel. Nature is cruel. The effects are real. Like this is
Yeah.
real stuff. And I didn't know until I got into it, like
Mm.
how serious this stuff is and how real it is, right?
Yeah. And again, this loss of collagen doesn't just show in the skin, it shows down there, it shows everywhere, in your bones, everywhere. So, yeah.
I woke up on my 53rd, 51st birthday. It might have been around there somewhere. And my hair was straw. It was made of straw. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, whose hair is this? It was overnight. And it has been I've been on a hair journey and it's been absolutely wrecking my head that it's just gone overnight. Anyway,
Is there anything else you can think of that has, in your
yes. One thing
opinion?
I've written on here, which has been so huge, and again, I think it's all tied together, is sleep. If
Mm,
I don't get good sleep, my skin is in bits. Like there is a direct correlation. If I have a bad night's sleep or more of a string of them, dull, sunken, just rotten. Doesn't matter how much water I'm drinking or even how well I'm eating or even if I'm exercising. If I don't get the rest, if I don't get that downtime, it
mhm.
has a huge impact on my skin. Surprise, more as I get older, of course, because I think everything just affects us a bit more than it used to, or at least it does for me. Huge impact. And I assume, are you the same?
I have never been a good sleeper my whole life. I've always
Oh,
been somebody who wakes up quite frequently at night.
okay.
Um, so I think that I'm just sort of used to it. Every once in a while I get a really good night's sleep and then I'm, oh my God, this is what I'm supposed to feel like.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh,
for the
yeah.
most part, I mean, I track my sleep with this and it's crap
I do
most
the
of the
same. I
time.
have
Yeah.
one too.
So I
And
think I'm just so used to it, that
oh, I'm
I
a 7+ a night at least. And if I don't get that,
I need 7 hours, but they will not be consistent. I mean, they will not be, what's the word I'm looking for? They will not be
consecutive.
not interrupted. I mean, I wake
Yeah.
up several times a night, so it's just something I'm used to since childhood. Um, and I don't know if I notice so much that sleep affects my skin, but maybe because I've never had great sleep. Maybe if I had really great sleep, I'd wake up and go, whoa.
Absolutely. And I think that was one of the big parts for me. And what eventually drove me to HRT was the hot flashes that broke up the sleep because I wasn't resting. And
Mhm.
I have always been an 8 hours a night sleeper my entire life. Um, so if I have a night where I'm tossing and turning and I end up with 4 hours of sleep, it's just a disaster. It's a disaster across the board. Because then I actually then won't probably eat as well. And I may or
Mhm.
may not exercise because I can't get up because I didn't get enough sleep. And it just everything goes downhill and it wrecks my mood, my energy, the physicality, the skin. But then it's sort of you talk about that aura. My aura is
Mhm.
not a pretty aura when I don't get. So is there anything else
Um,
on your list? Do you have anything else?
Well, let's see. So I did a few in office. I had a couple of, and I don't even know if they're called a Fraxel. So in Italy, I had two lasers that I thought were Fraxel, but I made a video on it and people underneath said this was not a Fraxel. So I'm not sure, but that's
Okay.
what they called it in Italy. And I do think that made a little bit of a difference. as far as I think where I saw the most difference maybe was with lip lines. Now they unfortunately have come back because these are dynamic lines, and unless I don't talk, they're just going to constantly
Yeah,
form.
exactly. Or kiss or anything else. Yeah.
Exactly. But I did, immediately after and maybe for 6 months following, I did see a difference that they were maybe soften a little bit. It's not something, honestly, I would want to do every 6 months because it's quite invasive. I had about a month's downtime from it.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I mean, I made a video and I looked in the mirror the next day to film, the after part, and I just cracked myself up. I looked like the lady from Something About Mary, that lays there
I
with
do
the
know.
big.
Oh,
I actually put a picture and I was like, I
so
look just
red.
like her. Because my hair was really blonde back then from living in Italy, and I was so just burnt looking. It was horrible.
Um,
I'm trying to think, aside from the IPL, if I had any other lasers. I think that's it. Yeah, I think it was just the two in Italy. And then I've done some peels, I've done some at-home peels that were buffer TCA peels. And while I like them, I think for me personally, the difference was quite mild because again, I'm not working on extreme superficial problems. I'm not working on hyperpigmentation or acne scars or something. So it's hard to see the difference if you don't have something like that
to work
sticks
on.
out. Yeah. I would say when I did the vitamin A peel that I talked to you about, I could actually see a difference on my neck with that one. So that one is one I would definitely repeat. Is that vitamin A peel? Remember we talked about that? It was
Oh
the
yeah.
zero.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I still want to try it. I'm a little chicken, but I want to try it.
What I like about that one is that it is vitamin A. So we know that it doesn't just help with the exfoliation, the peeling part, but it helps with collagen production. So you get that double whammy. And
Yeah.
interestingly enough, talking about skin health, while it seems sort of counterintuitive that it would make your skin healthier, peeling like that and having the itching and the burning and everything from it, my skin, I did this peel twice now, was feeling so much more resilient afterwards each time. Just healthier and just
That's worth it
resilient.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what we need. We need more resilient skin as we
Yeah.
get older too. Okay. All right. I need to get that, don't I?
I'll
Hmm.
talk you through it.
I think we might need to do another video then, a peeling
Yeah.
video. Yeah.
It's not a bad one. But it's, those are the things, they're just bonus, right? Again, I think the most important things, if I had to tell you two things only, or even just one thing, it's nutrition. There is
Yeah.
nothing that
No, you're
replaces
right.
nutrition.
Yep.
And we've both learned that the hard way.
Yep.
I mean, you not necessarily the hard way, but you've learned it even through that test. I've learned it the hard way several times just by eating and then by changing my diet. Of course, what we're going to put in our body is going to have the biggest impact on everything, on
Yep.
our health, on our overall health, on our skin health, on everything. So, the peels, the topicals, while they can be lovely and they can be a little bonus, nothing replaces nutrition.
Yeah.
Secondly,
You're right.
sunscreen. You can't, if you do all of those things and then fry yourself in the sun like I used to, forget it. It's not a
Yeah.
good idea. And then I do think that mindset has a lot to do with it too. This is the most toxic thing we can consume is our thoughts.
Yeah.
That we can do everything right, but then if we have these toxic thoughts daily, it's going to take away from all of it. So I think mindset has a lot to do with it too. How we talk to ourselves, what we think when we look in the mirror, that little voice that just talks to us all day long.
Yeah.
Are we going to listen to all that negative chatter or are we going to replace it with something more positive? I think that's going to make a big difference too. And it's something that might sound hokey, like, okay, I'm going to talk to myself nicely and then I have healthy, pretty skin. But I do think there is a connection. Think about being in an abusive relationship. If somebody just told you all day long how ugly, how stupid, blah, 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 I don't think you would look too pretty,
No,
But
you
if you do
believe it to
that
be
to
true.
yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, so I do think that has an
Absolutely.
impact too. What would you rank your top most important for healthy skin?
Well, I would agree with you with nutrition being at the top,
Mhm.
100%. Because like I said, I've actually experienced the differences. And protection would be the sunscreen would be a second. I think, and it kind of ties in, I guess, to what you've sort of said about whether it's a positive attitude. Or I think one of the things that I've taken away from my journey on this channel is that It's not actually about how I look. So when I want the healthy skin, the glowy skin, that's for me. It's actually not for anybody else. And so
Mhm.
when I everything that I do actually is not everything, but a lot of what I do is for me anyway. So all the stuff that I'm doing isn't so people will view me in a particular way. It's how it makes me feel. And that's
Mhm.
why all the videos I make, people sort of say, do you make videos about trends? And I'm like, no, I'm just making videos about things I'm doing because this is what I'm doing right now because it interests me. So it's doing these things because they're important to me and not to anybody else. So it's not really about people looking in. It's, I want healthy skin because it makes me feel good. It makes me glow.
Mhm.
It makes me feel like I'm taking care of me. And that's what I'm trying to do because that's what the 50s have given me. The point, it's the realization that I got to take care of myself. So whether it's the body, the skin, the mind, whatever the factors are that help me take care of me. Like you said, you learned it earlier than I do, that your body put up with a lot and it was your turn to give back to your body. That's kind of where I am now. That's what the 50s have given me. So I need to
Mhm.
start doing more to take care of myself, my skin, my mind, my body, and so many of the things that are around us are impacting that. So I think that's sort of ties into your positive thinking and it's the same sort of space is I just need to take care of myself. And um, the food's been the biggest learning curve, and just taking care of me and doing it for me has been the biggest, really. Sounds
Mhm.
very selfish, but I think I have to
I
be.
was just going to ask you, do you feel because that there's that connection, right? We say take care of myself, and right away we have this guilt, oh, that sounds selfish. But is it
I
really?
don't care. I don't care. I actually see this as my time. My kids are pretty much grown. I
Hmm.
don't have to put them first anymore. So it's kind of my time. And it's interesting because I did a video when I turned 50 about, the reasons why turning 50 is so awesome. And a lot of people don't feel that way. And I got that. And I got a lot of people saying about turn 50, I'm so upset. I feel like my life is over. And it made me feel blessed that I don't think that. Like I'm like
Mm.
on the next part of my journey, it's like the rebirth. Gary and I are having a freaking ball. We are traveling, and it's like all of a sudden I don't have to worry about anybody else. I get to worry about me. And this is like one of life's little joys. So where menopause is taking away a lot of the physicality, it's given me a whole new lease on life. Like I'm in an age where I don't really give a fuck I might have to beat that out. I don't really care what anybody else thinks. I care what I think and I care what Gary thinks and my family thinks. But aside from that, I don't care. And if I piss people off for being selfish, so be it. It's my channel. I can do what I want.
But why is it selfish? Why does taking care of yourself equal selfishness? Only because we were told that. You
Yeah.
can't give from an empty cup. So if you don't take care of
Yeah.
yourself, you're not going to be good
100%.
to Gary, to your kids, for your channel,
Yeah.
nobody else. So
But
really,
when my kids were young, you don't get to take care of yourself. And I didn't. I mean, you do the best you can, but you're not the first thought. And while I
mm,
should have been, because, intellectually, I know that I need to take care of me, take other, but when you've got two small kids and a house to run and you're working full time, you don't have time. You're just trying to make sure nobody dies, that you can
mhm.
continue to do a good enough job to get paid for it so that you can live. But now it's different. Like, one kid has moved to London. She's gone. The other one's just about to graduate from high school. She doesn't even want to see me. She's like in this house somewhere, and I generally don't see her. But that means I get to do all the me stuff. And it's a blessing, frankly. And I know that there are lots of people out there that wouldn't say that out loud, but I'm not one of them. I'm blessed that I get to put me first and I
Yeah.
get to spend all this time figuring my stuff out and realizing 2 years ago at 51, I was unhappy. I was unhappy with how I felt, how I looked. I was really unhappy. And I remember I was going to Spain to some friend's house and staying in a villa. And I had to put on a bathing suit. And it's the first time I went out and bought a one piece. I hadn't been in a one piece since I was 13 years old because I wasn't happy with the way that I looked. I'd
Mhm.
put on a fair amount of weight and it just wasn't me. It's like you wake up one day and you're like, this is not my body. And it just, I made a change because it was important to me. It was not important to anybody else. Nobody else would have even noticed what I was wearing, by the way. And I know that nobody cares. Um, but I cared. And it was enough for me to know that I needed to make a change. And it worked. And it taught me how to start taking care of myself
So
and my
cross out the
skin.
selfish because by you taking care of yourself, you set an example for other women to do the same. Skin health, again, we said this in the beginning. It sounds like skin health sounds boring. And if we put in our title, how to get healthy skin, nobody would click on it. If we put in our title, how to get glowing skin, useful skin, boom, 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 you know, people click on it. But again, there is no such thing as useful, glowing, or any other good looking skin if the skin isn't healthy.
Yep.
And there are so many aspects on top of skincare, which we like to tinker with, that play into healthy skin.
And it's been an exciting journey to learn that too. Because like I said, when I started this channel, I was looking at it very differently. And I feel that I've learned a lot through it. I mean, I know a lot of the videos are about skincare and things you put on your skin or things you do to your skin, but I've learned a lot through this process, and it's been a pleasure. It's been a privilege, really, because I feel like I'm in a good place. I wanted to say a huge thank you because this has been great as always. Like, you and I love having a bit of a chat. This ends up like just two girls talking more than creating a video for for other people to see. But I enjoy it, and I enjoy you, and I miss you. I wish you were still closer to my time zone. It would be easier to get to Paris than it is in California, but thanks for making the time. And I'm glad we can still find the little spaces in order to have these chats, because I enjoy them. So thank you.
Yeah, same here. I enjoyed it very much. And I hope other people enjoyed it too.
Me too.
So, yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time.
All right, honey, I'll see you soon. Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Bye. So guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed that little chat. It wasn't a little chat, the long chat, as much as we did. We always have a great time together. It's always a joy to have her onto the channel. So guys, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye.